there, everybody. Hi there. Thank you for watching this video. I'm guessing if you're watching, you have a fantasy draft coming, and hopefully we can help you. If you're familiar with my work at all, you may know that I do plant some flags on some players year after year. These are the players that I would like to draft given their value, and today on the show here, I'm going to be talking about 5 such players with you, and we'll watch some video of them as well. We're sponsored by Lisa. I'll tell you a little bit more about them in just a little bit, but first up, let's talk about my first guy I want to talk about. That is Bucky Irving. You will recall last year, Bucky Irving, the sprinter soldier, somewhere overall between 12 and 16 in fantasy drafts. That was too rich for my blood, even though I think he's a really good player. And in fact, after a month, he got hurt, was out for 2 months, and wasn't healthy when he came back. And now, after a winter in which he had shoulder surgery, the market has rightly cooled down on Bucky, but I think it's gotten too downright cold. I hear the logic. Oh, don't you understand? Kenneth Gainwell, Sean Tucker. Here's the thing. Irving is good. He's one of the most laterally quick runners in the league, incredibly elusive. He actually runs plays where they're supposed to go, doesn't bounce every single run outside. Decisive. He's really good. And I love how when someone doesn't like a running back, they bring up all the other running backs on his team. But if they do like the guy, they go, Chase Brown, come on, no doubt. 12 overall. He's got the backfield to himself. Buddy, no he doesn't. He won't play many third downs. Samaje Perine will. That's not a reason to hate Chase Brown at all. I mean, Bijan Robinson, number 2 pick. That's where I have him ranked. No question. But the idea that he won't ever get annoying because of another running back, may I please introduce you to the Bijan Robinson experience? Brian Robinson will probably get 25% of the carries because that's the NFL. If Gainwell and Tucker are enough to scare you off a running back, you scare easy. Irving goes in the 5th round, so the discount is real. The Bucs have never not given him a lead workload when he's been healthy. Oh, but somebody else might take some catches. Yup, that's why you get him in the 5th. I love taking Irving as that round 5 flex pivot point in my drafts. Next up, why don't we talk about Matthew Stafford? I don't know if you know this, but he's due for a regression. Can you believe it? If you bring up Stat Padford, the first thing anyone says is, well, regression. Also, did you know he doesn't run? No, I've never watched football, so yeah. Of course Stafford's going to regress. Of course the touchdown pass rate will come down. But how much? Should it come down so far as to make him the QB 15? That's where he's going. He's the defending MVP of the league. Stafford goes in the double-digit rounds. You can wait forever in fantasy drafts and still get the QB 3 from last year, the defending MVP. Is he going to regress? Yup. He could throw 10 touchdowns fewer this year and still would have led the league in 2025. This so much reminds me of Aaron Rodgers and Tom Brady 2020 and 2021. I will, of course, agree that if a mobile quarterback is a plus thrower, that mobility absolutely grants him more fantasy value. But we are elevating mobile quarterbacks who might absolutely stink as throwers. Looking at you, Jackson Dart and Bo Nix, and we're putting them above Hall of Fame players. In Stafford, a dude who just dominated the league last year, in my opinion, it's foolish. The problem is that the data can't account for the few times when this has happened. Monster, real-life players without great mobility who posted monster fantasy seasons. So of course the model says regression because it can't account for a Rodgers or a Brady. And yeah, I'll say it, a Stafford, because there just aren't that many of them. Stafford will throw fewer than 46 touchdowns. That was a career year. You follow up career years with lesser stats. But the Rams still look like a wagon, one of the few offenses we trust season to season, so the regression will merely be to QB5, and we'll pick him up when everyone else in our league already has a quarterback, basically for free, and feel great about it. Okay, let's take a quick break because I would like to thank our sponsor. That is Lisa. That's the mattress that I personally sleep on. This is a big one because right now is Lisa's Labor Day sale, and that means 30% off select mattresses. I sleep on a Lisa every single night. I absolutely love it. I've had one for more than a decade. It suits me perfectly, but I'm also just some guy on the internet. What matters is whether the Leesa bed is perfect for you. You can go to Leesa.com and take a mattress quiz to figure out which bed suits you best, then get one shipped to your door and sleep on it for 4 months. And if it's not perfect, you let them know. They will come pick it up, refund you, no questions asked. Leesa's a great company, American made. They donate thousands of beds each year to families in need. They're environmentally conscious. They make a great bed. Go to Leesa.com for 30% off select mattresses during their Labor Day sale. And if you sign out using the code Harris, they'll take an extra $50 off as well. That's Leesa.com for 30% off. And to get another $50 off, use that code Harris. Okay, let's keep going with the players that I'm drafting a lot this year and whose value I like. I'm going to tell you about Jameson Williams. Williams is no sure thing. I absolutely agree. He's had suspensions. He's been kind of an up and down deep threat who had never been consistent week to week. Everybody knows he's fast, but it was maybe starting to seem like that was all he was. And then in week 10 last year, after Dan Campbell took over the Lions play calling, suddenly Williams' usage grew more diverse. He made big plays still, but he also ran shallow crosses. He ran curl routes against too deep coverage. He ran honest-to-goodness one-step screens and dig routes, and the promise paid off. From week 10 onward in 2025, Jameson Williams was the number 4 wide receiver in standard leagues and 5 in PPR. Again, he's not a sure thing for 2026. I can read depth charts too. I know where the worry comes from. First of all, Dan Campbell, once again, not calling plays, so you can't draw that direct line. And also, one key variable at the end of last season was that Sam Laporta wasn't playing. If Laporta being back and Amon-Ra St. Brown being there and Jahmyr Gibbs being there, if that's too many mouths to feed, okay, maybe that'll turn out to be right. The Lions aren't going to tell us their plans beforehand. Now, if I were the new coordinator, Drew Petzig, I would look at what Williams did in the final 2 months of last year. I would want him to keep doing that. Williams is certainly talented enough to do it, and he's going in maybe as late as the 6th round, which I do not think accounts for what might happen if the more varied usage continues. I think the big plays will still happen with roughly the same frequency, and if we get that shorter stuff more consistent, I think he's going to way outperform that ADP. I mean, the state of receiver in the NFL is crazy. There's a million good ones, but very few get real attention. I mean, with 1,100 yards and 7 touchdowns, Jameson Williams finished wide receiver 10 standard, wide receiver 12 PPR last year. You just don't need that much more than that to pay off. Williams needs things to be a little more like they were at the end of 2025 to pay off handsomely, and I'm going to draft him with the idea that he just might. Okay, let's hit a later round running back I do find myself taking at his current price. It's Chris Rodriguez, now of the Jaguars. Remember earlier when I said how people talk themselves into being freaked out by a likely platoon when they don't like a player, but pretend that such a possible platoon doesn't exist when they do like a player? Well, people seem to have just decided Bashul Tutin has that Jacksonville backfield to himself. Now, Tutin goes in the 5th round. It's maybe a little higher than I want to take him, but I admit that's not an outrageous price, though clearly, as indicated earlier, I would take Bucky Irving over him. But the Tutin people aren't giving Rodriguez a second thought. If Rodriguez gets drafted at all, it's as like a 12th rounder, a 13th. He's going with the pure backups. He's going with Zach Charbonnet, who probably won't play for 2 months. Rodriguez is no superhero, but he's a good early down thumper with actual power. And from inside the 5 last year, Jags running backs were 7 for 20 scoring touchdowns. Tutin had 5 of those, and he's not small, but he's certainly not a power back like Rodriguez. This is going to be a platoon, because they're all kind of platoons. The erstwhile third man in, LaQuint Allen, suffered a camp injury, is no sure thing to play week 1. Plus, the consensus seems to be that the Jags offense should be pretty good again. And we want no part of the running back who might believably lead the team in touchdowns. I'm trying to nominate a guy from different parts of the draft board, and Rodriguez is a very late round player I've rostered a bunch this summer. And last for this video, but definitely not last for players I want to draft, I've got Zay Flowers undervalued in fantasy drafts. I think he deserves to be considered late in second rounds. He almost always goes late in third rounds, sometimes even early fourth. And it seems to me there's just one reason why: touchdowns. People look at the Ravens and they look at Flowers being kind of small and they say, yeah, all the touchdowns are going to Derrick Henry. Yeah, Zay Flowers, he's just going to be one of those guys who never find the end zone. He has 6, 4, and 6 scrimmage touchdowns in his 3 seasons. Forget it. No way. Not scoring a bunch of I'm here to tell you, touchdowns are pretty random. I'll admit, when you have Derrick Henry, that probably does take away the possibility of doing the Devontae Adams 14 touchdown season. But they used to say Reggie Wayne couldn't score touchdowns until he did. I mean, they used to say Devontae Adams couldn't score touchdowns in his first couple of years in Green Bay, and now he's a touchdown merchant. Good receivers usually wind up balancing out and scoring more touchdowns, to say nothing of the fact that Flowers is fast, he's shifty, runs good routes, gets open, and he plays with a quarterback who leads the NFL in history for air yards per attempt. Lamar Jackson loves going down the field to Flowers. Late third, early fourth, Flowers to me feels like stealing. With Lamar hurt for a lot of last year, Flowers was the wide receiver 8. He's a blast. He stands out as having a safe floor and a ceiling that I actually kind of liken to one of my breakout guys from last season, Jackson Smith and Jigba. Now, that's a high bar. I can't really promise Flowers will be the number 1 receiver, but I am drafting him a lot here in 2026. And that's it. Those are the 5 guys I wanted to talk about today. They are flag-planted players. If you'd like to hear more flag players, you can listen to the podcast you can find at harrisfootball.com or wherever podcasts are found. They're found a lot of different places. But I'd also love to hear down in the comments whether you liked my picks or maybe you have your own guys who you think are coming at extreme value. Tell us down there in the comments. And in the meantime, we'll be back next week before hopefully your fantasy drafts, where we're going to talk about some opposites. We're going to talk about some busts. We ain't drafting those guys at all. I want to thank Lisa for continuing to sponsor. They're great. Lisa.com. Use that promo code Harris. I want to thank great producer Dave Pyper for being amazing. And thank you so much for watching. We'll see you next time. Thanks so much for watching. Please, please, please smash that like button. Write a comment. Tell us who else you'd like to see us review film on. And of course, best of all, please subscribe to our channel and then click that little bell above the subscribe button and you'll be notified whenever we post a new video.